Good evening, I'm Julie Chen.
Wake up, everybody!
But first,
I cannot. On my daughter's birthday. Disgusting. Anybody want cake?
I want to welcome you guys all to my big brother funeral.
Can't find an individual to hate because I hate you all.
Welcome to Not Game, All Personal. Hey, we are a Big Brother podcast here to talk about all things Big Brother, more specifically the events of this past week. And oh my, were there some events. I'm Nathan, this is Tony. And Tony, I think our fears have come true. I think we are past the peak. It's a bit of a lull this week on Big Brother.
Yeah, I suppose events did happen. There were events for sure, but boy were they boring. And I think having the 2-hour episode didn't help because it was like 20 minutes of just the people doing BB comics, which just is not interesting television. But there wasn't that much conversation happening because there's not many options at this point. So it's just the reality of the game. But boy, I was quite bored.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how much the conversation is worth having of like, does this make for a lesser season? Whereas up until this point, we were raving about it, one of the best in the past, 10 years or whatever, right? Like, great season, great cast, Vito used every single week. So I think I'm trying to wrestle in my mind, which is just a stupid hypothetical that doesn't need to be answered, but like, does this tank the season a little bit? And I think it's more just of an issue of how the game operates, which we have said for years now. We have to speed up this last stretch of the game. It takes way too long. We do not need an entire week to go through. I mean, are there like 3 different scenarios that are possible to happen at this point? Like, there's nothing to game.
Not a lot of options.
No, they don't need 3 whole days to decide, is it this person or this person?
But it's so difficult because they are constrained by the programming schedule and when they can release episodes and stuff like that. So I think it's just the nature of the game. I assume, and yes, I've only watched live since like probably season 20, but it has to just be a thing that consistently happens. Like every season, there's a lull at this point. Yes, there are seasons where something interesting happens, but for the most part, you kind of know all the variables and there's not too much you can't account for. Whereas early in the season, there's so many variables that it's just wild and crazy what all happens.
Yeah, and I think it's especially tough on seasons like this where it feels like there's a fairly obvious winner, and it also feels like nobody is even considering that as an option of taking her out.
Yeah.
And she is one of 2 people who have the potential to win anything at this point, competition-wise. So that's also where I think the ending could be more exciting if there was more like, oh my goodness, this person's on the bottom, but could they do it? And blah, blah, blah. But it's like, nah, the person on the bottom isn't going to do it. Like, spoiler alert, that's my take.
And I was thinking about that a little bit, the competition piece of it, because there's been a lot of complaints the past few years that a lot of the winners that we've been having are just like these comp beast archetypes where they just dominate in challenges. And it's just not surprising that that's how it goes. And I don't know if it's that much a fault of the game. Because early in the game, it's everyone's goal to get the comp beast out. Like, you see Tucker, you're like, we need to get him out. And so people don't try as hard, or maybe wait a while until they really start going for stuff. And then by the time they do, I mean, Chelsea and Mackenzie don't have a ton of competition at this point and haven't for a couple weeks. Like, if you look at, maybe Angela's maybe the only one that could compare to him, but everybody else does not have a good track record in challenges. So of course, if you let those people get that deep in the game, you're just screwing yourself over. Like, that's just how it goes. And so maybe you don't want to get rid of all the comp threats just so there's more variance towards the end of the game. I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, it's something where I feel like it's still frustrating and people are still going to be upset about it, but that's just kind of how it goes when the people who aren't threats in challenges are kept until the end. And then the one person who's kind of decent at them, like Jag wasn't a force of nature when it came to competitions. he just was better than Sari and Felicia and like some of these people. You know what I mean? Like
Right. It was like once he got Cam and Jared out, then it was like, okay,
hmm
now I can turn it on, and he did.
yeah.
Right.
And then
No,
maybe you have like Cody. Yeah, Cody was kind of just a monster when it came to challenges, but he like took it easy a lot of the time too. So yeah, it's just interesting to look at it. I'm less upset about it this time around. Maybe that's because the two people who are doing the best in the challenges, I don't mind. Like they're the only two I like. That
no,
are.
I agree, and I would also I would agree that I don't think this like ruins the season for me. I'm not like coming at it like very upset, frustrated. It's just a matter of fact. It's like even on a great season like this one, we still reach this point every single time.
hmm
And I think for as much as we have praised the changes they've made this season with the AI arena, blah blah blah. We went over this so many times this season, but all those changes that benefited some of the issues it had, I think they still need to work out a couple things to make this part more exciting. Because it's just like I don't know, and it like we get a jury segment where they're literally like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna vote for Chelsea," and it's like, "Oh,
hmm
cool." So I guess we'll just watch 2 more weeks of Big Brother just to like prolong this. Like, can we just vote now? Because again, she's probably going to win HOH this week because it's her versus Cam versus
Probably.
Rabina. So
Yeah.
it's like, there we go. She is stacked of everyone going to take her. She has the jerk. Like, I don't know. It's just like, she's a good winner, a good season. But I hate that this is going to put a sour taste in people's mouth.
hmm Yeah, it's this interesting. Like I've said about Survivor before, and I think it's true about Big Brother. You don't want to make that big move. You don't want to take that big shot until late in the game. You're like game defining move. You want to take it like final 5, final 6, final 7, somewhere in that range. I've been saying that for a couple of years now. But then after that, you either have to be like one of the best to ever play, where you have misted the people around you that they're going to take you, even though you are clearly the front runner, or you have to win out. Like that's always the trade-off when you make a big move towards the end, or you just win by a social. Like that's just kind of how it seems to fit for me. And so I see that, and yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I
and
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think to her credit, well, let's just talk about Chelsea, right? Let's just
Yeah.
officially declare
I don't
that
know
this
if
is
we've
the
actually
Chelsea
said the name.
segment.
Yeah.
I think to her credit, one of her strongest parts of her game. Like, yes, she has won competitions, but realistically, it's just 3 HOHs and an AI arena. Which okay,
hmm
that's a lot. But I mean, like Mackenzie has 3 vetoes, 2 HOHs, and 2 AI arena. So Mackenzie has
hmm
her beat there. But I think what Chelsea's game and what she is so good at is, like I said earlier, every single person is probably gonna take her, and I think she has done a good job subtly hitting them against each other without even them
hmm
fully realizing it.
hmm
Where her and Cam are like locked in, like, let's do this. Like, oh, just so you know, like Mackenzie's trying to stir this up, blah blah blah. And then she goes to Mackenzie, we're locked in, let's do this. Hey, Cam's kind of like slacking on competitions. Isn't it suck that we had to drag one along? She goes to Rabina. Oh yeah, all girls, let's go. So I think that's the crazy part, is that like I would at least hope that they recognize she's playing a better game than them. But for whatever reason, the miss that she has on them, they're still willing to take her because they believe that taking her is probably a better outcome
hmm
than taking someone else, which isn't true, but she's done a good job making them believe that.
That's the point that I kind of got lost in. Yeah, like she is this that next level of player where or next tier of player where yeah, she has these people convinced that she still is a good option, even though us watching, and I think the majority of Big Brother fans are like, she's the clear winner. Everybody in the jury house is sitting there, she is the clear front runner right now. And so she's just able to convince these people of this, where she doesn't have to rely on the challenges at the end. She's probably going to win. That's just because everybody else sucks, but I don't know that she needs to at this point.
No, I do think she would win. I think now that Chemo's out, spoiler for the episode that we're in, that was someone that we said could get the jury. And I mean, I think Tikor confirmed it in the jury segment where she's like, Chelsea's playing the best game. However, I might vote for Chemo because of, I think she said representation and because of his story this season. So that was kind of like what we said last week, where it's like he's not doing much, but he could get the win off Jerry. So now that he's gone,
Yeah.
I think Chelsea could potentially beat anyone. I don't know, and
It'd be
like
floored
no
if
one's
she
gonna
lost
take
to
her
anyone.
out. No, I
I
think
think
the only person like might be Mackenzie, but I think that's just the way that I would vote, which I think might lean more into competitions and like actual moves.
yeah, I think Rubino would be a challenge, honestly, just because of the friends that she has in the jury. And
Yeah.
that's just me knowing that people vote just based on their friends sometimes. Like you never know how a jury's going to vote. But to me, yeah, I feel like Chelsea is the obvious choice. Mackenzie's won a bunch of stuff, but she's kind of done exactly what Chelsea wanted every single time, or at least these last two times. Her first, or these are her only HOHs. So yeah, she's kind of been not puppeteer, but like they've been working together, and so the Chelsea or Mackenzie can't fully claim them. I feel like.
Right. Any move that Mackenzie has made has benefited Chelsea just as much, if not more so, than Mackenzie.
The way
Which
you let
is-
off, I thought that was gonna be a sarcastic, like, "Yep, Mackenzie has just done what Chelsea," and you were gonna do one of those that just make me angry. Like that's not what I was saying, and you know it. But no, you agreed. Thank you.
No, I do agree. Yeah, I think for like Chelsea's position, it definitely helps having, I think, people like Cam and Mackenzie. I know for sure Cam has never seen the show before.
hmm
I think Mackenzie might be a recruit too. I'm not 100% sure. I
I
think
think so. I think
Okay.
so.
Let's just go with that for the sake of my argument. But I think those people definitely help too coming to the end, because I think like Cam's a great person because you've been locked in the whole season. Great, let's ride this out. He doesn't really know any better to take the shot, and he's not going to win a competition
Mhm.
to take the shot. And I think Mackenzie's also
Yeah.
a great person because that's the only person in this house that you're competing with for
Mhm.
HOHs and vetoes, and she is doing whatever you want, thinking it's great for her game. So it's just like the most ideal scenario. So while it's boring, I think you do have to give credit for Chelsea for like setting this up and understanding like, hey, like I'm gonna have to cut Quinn here. Like I'm just gonna have to do it. That was a decision she made. Recognizing, hey, Leah is one of the few people that might say my name. And she was right because no one else is gonna say her name, So I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's the tough thing about Big Brother. Like sometimes the best players are the most boring ones in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's one of those games where that is, and it's so long that you can't make these like crazy moves. And we've talked about the pace compared to Survivor a million times, so we won't rehash that. But that's just it's the nature of the game. I think AI Arena did change it though. That did add another level
Right.
that made
Yep.
it more interesting for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could have done AI Arena until this week. That's
Yeah,
one
I
thing that's
think-
interesting to me.
I think it's interesting because I think AI Arena eventually did turn into. Well, maybe not. I was gonna say like just more opportunities for like comp beasts, because it was like
Mhm.
Tucker and then Mackenzie. But then like Rubina did win one, Chemo. Like those were Rubina and Chemo's only wins of anything
Yeah.
this season. So I think it's a combination of that, but then also like we've been saying a lot. I think the competitions have been a lot more balanced, where Angela can come in and win 2 HOHs, right? Which is she would not have been able to do that on last year's competitions. That's for sure.
No, and the fact of the matter is, like, if you're somebody who's in shape, like Tucker, he's obviously in shape. He's a strong person, and then you add in they also like are good at puzzles. Like, there's just not much you can like. You can't make challenges that are bad for him and good for other people. Like, sometimes you just have people who are kind of designed for this stuff, and that's just how
Right.
it goes. So, no matter what, there's always going to be comp beasts, and they're always going to be big targets. So they kind of take care of themselves for the most part.
Yeah. I guess you're right. Well, let's talk about this week, I suppose.
Yep.
Not so much about the future, because we'll have a whole nother episode where we have to predict the outcome of. I think the next 2 weeks might just be shorter episodes. I think that's just what
Yeah.
it is, right? There's like
Yeah, it's fine. We're not going to do the whole like map out every scenario and compare like we did for Big Brother 21.
You
remember
always
doing
bring
that?
you always bring that up, and I love that you think that's the biggest mistake we've ever made on this podcast.
It was, man, that had to have been tough listening. You gotta admit, that had to have been tough listening.
We literally, yeah. I
Like, you
mean,
need a pen and paper to just understand what we're talking about.
I had a nice graphic. That's when I was like,
Oh, you did.
I had a lot more free time where I was making all sorts of graphics. Where now
hmm
sorry listeners, I just we're lucky if we get to record.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this week, I mean, Chemo and Rubina were the targets. Not really a surprise there. I mean, was there any chance that you think she would have done anything different? I mean, it was just, I think,
Well,
locked in from the start, right?
not necessarily. Like, it was a boring week, but there were points. Like, I think they really did think about putting up Cam. That would have been stupid. When you look at it from a logical standpoint, that's the dumbest thing you could have done. But they were I think they were thinking about it. And then just, I think yesterday and today, they were genuinely thinking about flipping it and keeping Chemo, I think. Or maybe it was the other way around. It was originally Rubina and they thought about switching to Chemo. So like it hasn't been set in stone, like who they're targeting, sure, the group that they're targeting. But the final target, I think, is something that they did consider a little bit. But ultimately, I think this was probably the smartest decision to me.
Yeah, it felt like it was mostly Cam that was trying to push for Chemo to stay, which he had some logic to it, I guess, and like kudos for him for like trying something. But I think it was just Chelsea and Mackenzie that recognized like this only benefits you, like, and I do think they're probably correct, but I also think Cam was maybe correct too in wanting to keep Chemo. I don't know, like it was like I see both sides, but unfortunately I think Cam's just outnumbered here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better for Mackenzie and Chelsea to keep Rubina and him for Chemo. So that's just how it goes. So they were always, I think, gonna overrule that because there's no real reason to go with him at this point because now they're the only option he has, and that's kind of good for them in general.
Right.
I wish he had forced a
exactly.
tie. That could have been fun.
It could have been fun. Yeah, especially because I'm trying to remember. I don't think, because like Mackenzie definitely was letting Rubina know that she's like, I don't want you to go this week. I don't think she gave Chemo that same assurance. However, I don't think Mackenzie's like jury management has been great, and I think her blind sides especially have been like a little sloppy as far as like I think there's a good way to blindside someone, and not blind someone. Don't blind someone. That'd be bad. Oh, no good way to do that. And I don't know that she's been doing that. So that would have been fun. And it's one of those things. I wish people would pull more of that, and when it's a live vote, like put the HOH on the spot. Like, right, like what do you got to lose at that point?
Yeah, make a decision.
Get blood on their hands.
I don't know with this group that would have been that impactful. Some groups are very vindictive, and if you put them on the spot, I don't know if this is the group that would have been super upset though.
Do you think, like, how would he play that off? Do you think he denies it or like owns, like plays dumb, like, oh, I thought I misunderstood, like, or does he just own it, like, I wanted to put you on the spot?
I think that's what you do. Like, hey, I voted what I thought was best for my game.
Man, just hearing you say that sentence, it's like foreign. Like,
Yeah.
like voting on eviction night for what's best for your game.
That's why they gotta stop. They gotta stop telling them the vote totals. Just be like, hey, Chemo was evicted. Hey, Joseph was evicted when he was. Like, don't say how many, because people will vote how they actually feel. It won't be like, do you have the numbers for a flip? I don't wanna be stuck on the wrong side of the numbers. It's like, no, you just vote how you feel, and everybody sees that.
I also just wish people had more confidence in their ability to lie, because like there's so many chances for rogue votes. For like I remember Jackson did that a couple times and it was so much fun. Just like the chaos that would happen, people want like, where did that single vote, like every vote's accounted for except for this one. Like I don't know why people don't take advantage more of it being a completely anonymous vote.
I think it's hard to pull it off properly. I feel like the people that would try, it's obvious that they would try. Whereas like the people who could pull it off aren't gonna do that. You know, that felt like a dumb sentence, but that's how I feel.
That's how you feel. Yeah, so Chemo's gone. I don't know. Do we need to talk a lot about Chemo's game? Fine. Good job.
I've said it a million times. I think his social game was super good. I think with this season, he easily could have won. Well, I thought that looking at that jury house, I did not like just about anybody in that jury house, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think they love him, and so he would have had a legitimate shot, and he was probably the right person to send out. He wasn't a great. He was maybe a fine strategic player, bad physical player.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so hard to tell because there were moments, I think specifically when him and Tikor flipped on Cedric, that were like, oh my goodness, the people on the bottom of the big alliance are like, this has never happened, right? Like, it was just,
Mhm.
it felt so unique. And then after that, it just never really did much since then.
No, they never won anything, so they could never make any decisions. And if you can't win things,
Well,
don't
I
stay
mean,
as your own
Tikor
group.
won the HOH,
I
but
suppose
it's
didn't do much. Who'd she get out? All right.
Tucker.
Yeah, she got out Tucker. She got out somebody in her own group.
Yes, no, that's what I'm
pretend
saying.
That was such a powerful thing.
Well, no, but that's my point though. Is like
Oh, okay.
his people, they did have power. So I think
Yeah.
like that was such, because I think at that moment when they flipped on Cedric, I'm like, okay, there's something here. They have the
Mhm.
ability to see the house dynamics, and then after that moment, it was like any read he had in the house was incorrect. And
Mhm.
it just never quite came back. And I think there are times where like maybe he did have reads, but then no power. So I don't know. It's like it's a very difficult balance to like have the ability to know what you have to do and have the power or means to get it done. And unfortunately, I feel like those two things only aligned once for his game, and the rest of the game he was either just kind of floating or making the wrong decision about like who he should be aligning with, to the point where it was just, I don't know, like I just don't think he ever had a chance because he just didn't seem to have it in him to win any HOH or power other than a veto on a double eviction, which he probably didn't need to win because Angela was going to go home anyways.
Yeah. I feel like him and Chelsea both. I don't know. They're interesting to me because I feel like Chelsea had a lot of like the base game that Chemo has, where she had a lot of really good relationships. People in the house really liked her. But when she's on the bottom, or just in general, she's talking to everybody in the house and making sure she's covered on all sides. And we've talked about it a million times. He isolated himself a lot of the time, and feels like he didn't interact with many people outside of T-Core and Rubina throughout the entire game. Whereas she was constantly like, T-Core thought that Chemo was the one that betrayed her, when it was definitely Chelsea that betrayed her. Like, that was bananas to me, that she felt like she was that close to Chelsea that she didn't even consider Chelsea would have voted her out there.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that's going to hurt her feelings and that's going to affect the vote. But like, that in itself, I feel like shows the major difference in like the levels that they're playing at.
100%. I mean, the fact that like his closest ally wasn't sure where he was aligned to, that like I think that was very telling of, because I don't know. Yeah, like that's insane. That's insane.
And I never even considered Chelsea and T-Core that close. Like, yes, they were close throughout the game, and like that kept Chelsea like covered on that side. And I think it was like a genuine like friendship for sure. But the fact that blew my mind that she wasn't sure who it was.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. So I don't know. Bye Chemo.
Bye,
I
Chemo.
didn't. Julie dropped that. Apparently, his brother passed away, and they used to watch Big Brother together. Is this common knowledge, or was that new to you?
It was maybe something shared early in the season.
Okay, because when I heard that, I was like, I don't think I ever heard that before, and I'm like, why wasn't this talked about? Like, Julie said it in a way that this was like part of his arc that we were all aware of, and maybe I don't know, maybe it was mentioned, and so Julie just assumed that but it was kind of shocking to me. So I was like, dang, I kind of wish I would have heard more, or like heard Chemo talk about it in the house, which again, maybe he didn't. I just missed, so I don't know. I just thought that was like, I wanted to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
fair.
all. That's all I have to say about that. Who else do you want to talk about? We talked about Chelsea enough. Is there anything more to talk about Cam and his game? I mean, like, does
Not
he
really
have a path here at all?
The fact that they were just stunned that he did so bad at BB Comics was very funny. It was just objectively very funny. I think if he wins this HOH and puts up Chelsea and Mackenzie and takes like that shot, or he ends up being the final vote and it's between like Chelsea and Rubina and he takes out Chelsea, like I think that's maybe his only path.
I mean,
to
that's
being
impossible because you would have to assume in that scenario Mackenzie's HOH and so.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it has
So
to take out one
if
of them.
Rubina
It has
wins
to take out
HOH,
Chelsea basically. Takes out Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think he would have to take out Chelsea. He'd have to take out a front runner, is kind of what I was saying. But yes, that specific scenario, impossible.
yeah, well, oh yeah, the only way he could take out Chelsea is if Rubina wins HOH.
It was Chelsea and Mackenzie, yeah.
Because if he wins HOH, he can't vote. So.
Mm-hmm. But even then, I don't see it.
And at that point, here's follow me here. And this might not be good podcast talk.
Oh no.
So okay, he wins HOH. I don't know if that's like a huge move, right? Because he's just like,
No.
cool, I earned safety for a week, right? If Rubina wins HOH, giving him the option to win veto, take himself off, and then send Chelsea home, I would almost say at this point in the game, it's more impressive that Rubina found her way to the final three than it is Cam had to decide between power, like comp threat or comp threat, right?
I think the move would be he wins HOH and then also wins veto. Initially, he keeps
And
Chelsea
then
off the block and then
okay.
uses the veto on Rubina.
That's a good call.
And talks to Rubina beforehand and is like, Chelsea is the best player in this house. You have to take her out. And yes, it'll be like, oh, Rubina. No, I think that'll be seen by everyone as Cam took her out more than Rubina.
That's a good call. That's the only option. If that doesn't happen, Cam has a near 0% chance to win this game.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't even have like that much love from the jury house. So, yep, I think he's a non-factor. He's the great GOAT. Him
A
talking
great
about
goat.
like Chelsea being like, you're a D1 football player. And he's like, these games are hard. Like him, that was a fun thing of him just being like, I swear, I just suck at this. Like I'm not throwing these.
I think he specifically said, he's like, I don't spend my free time on a zip line looking at comics. That's not what I do. Like, that's not my strength. Which I also
To be
thought
fair,
was...
they don't do that in football practice.
No zip lines involved. Sometimes a slip and slide at the very most, but that's it.
Occasionally, when they earn it.
What about Rubina? Does she have... I mean, like, she does have the underdog story at this point. Like, if she can find herself in the final two, I think there's several ways she could get to the final two. Because, like you said, she already has a couple locked-in jury votes, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
So if she adds a big move and manages to get past the final four and final three, like, she has a chance. I just think the hard part is she hasn't shown us that she has the ability to gain that power to take someone out.
Yeah, so hers is a little bit more interesting because I think I would say that the only way that she wins is if she ends up in that final two with Cam. And that would
Okay.
require both of them to win something in this next chunk, and I just don't see that. I just don't see a path. Like, yes, she has people in the jury.
Right. It
but
doesn't feel
hopefully the people
likely
in the
like
jury.
they make two of the final three. That doesn't feel likely.
No. And her beating Mackenzie, I'd be upset about. Her meeting Chelsea, I'd be upset about. Even if she did the thing that I said Cam would have to do. I want to be clear. I think if Cam did that, I'm not saying Cam is like a clear winner of the season. I'm saying
Right.
maybe he has an argument. Do I think Cam has any capability of arguing that? No, certainly not. And same with Rubina, where like that's the only way that I think maybe she'd have a shot. But against Chelsea or Mackenzie, I just don't see how you could, in good conscience, give it to her.
I think if she is sitting there, like, let's say she somehow is the deciding factor of getting Chelsea out,
Mm-hmm.
and she ends up sitting next to Mackenzie, I would say she has a strong chance there. I think the only difference between the two of them would be competition wins. And honestly, like, because I mean her reads on the game have been better than Mackenzie's.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like I don't think it's. But again, it's all coming down to can she win a competition when she needs to, and I think that is a higher. That's less likely than it is with Cam winning a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cam could win a 1 out of 3 HOH. Could Rubina win when the odds are 1 out of 3? I don't know.
Can she win 2 competitions to win that final HOH? Like that's what it has to be. She has to win 2 of them.
Sure, or let's say she makes a big move here, votes out Chelsea. Mackenzie wins the final 3 HOH, decides she wants to take Rubina over Cam. Rubina
See,
somehow.
I just don't see that happening either. Which, yes,
No,
in theory,
yeah.
if that happened, maybe she'd have a shot. Like if Cam is an option, like it's almost to me, Cam, her only shot is if Cam goes out in this final 4. That's where I was trying to get earlier. I think if Cam goes out in this final 4, that's her only shot. Because if Cam is an option for either Chelsea or Mackenzie, like you gotta take him. And I just don't think Rubina can win that many challenges to win that final HOH.
No, I agree. Yeah. It's gonna be tough. So then, Mackenzie, I think there's far more options to get to the end.
Oh yeah.
However, I think most of them revolve around Chelsea not being there. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
and
the
maybe
thing.
if she is there, and for some reason people are bitter towards Chelsea, like that's ultimately we're going off of our mindset and how we think we'd vote, and kind of how the jury will vote. But man, they've surprised us before, so who knows?
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much in agreement then. It's pretty much Chelsea top, like it's her game to lose at this point.
Comfortably,
Mackenzie's
yeah.
the second most likely, but it's really depending if Chelsea's not there.
Mhm.
Do we think Rubina's third most likely over Cam?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think so
Rubina
too.
beats Cam because
Okay.
Cam just doesn't have the relationships that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think he has the relationships or respect of really anyone in the jury as a player.
No, I mean like Rubina has 2 votes already in T-Core and Chemo.
Mhm.
Like I think that's
Mhm.
huge. So, all right. Well, I'm glad we knocked out every scenario. That's that felt good to get off my chest.
Yeah, but we didn't go jury vote by jury vote, so we're good.
We'll do that next week.
This jury segment, Nathan. What
Yeah,
did we think? How were you feeling about it?
It was fine. I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't feel like I gained much insight
Mm-hmm.
other than Leah just outing herself that she isn't the Quinn, and Quinn just is. I don't think that was good for his ego. I'll just say that.
Nope. Nope.
Like
Probably not.
somehow when he's not playing Big Brother, he's still the same, which kind of shocked me. I was like, "Oh, you're not
Mhm.
turning this off. You're still."
Well, he's still on TV. He's still turning it on for the TV.
I guess maybe that's it. Maybe when the cameras
trying to be
are
on the
off, then
challenge.
he'll- God,
House of
no.
Villains,
Please.
season 3.
Dude, that dude is such a villain. Let me tell you.
Such a villain.
Well, I feel like you got takes. What you got strong opinions on this?
I just, as it was showing everybody, it was like, I don't think the most I feel about any of these people is neutral, is how I was looking at this jury house.
Not even Leah. You don't have
Like,
like any
Quinn-
positive thoughts towards Leah.
Not really.
See, I think Leah's fun.
No.
Leah would be in my top 5 of the season, top 3.
And I think a lot of people have that opinion. I don't see it as much, and I don't know why.
I just think she's very funny.
Okay.
There's something of like it's just the personality more than anything.
Big fan of the Chubby Chaser joke.
I do think that's very funny. I don't-
Like,
it's
if
just-
you're asking, that's hilarious.
It's so absurd
Yeah.
that you just like
That's her thing that she wants to be known for.
like she was bothered at the beginning of the season because all the guys in the house were too fit.
There
And
was a
then
segment about her trying to get all the guys to eat more food.
yes, like that's funny. And then add that on top where like I thought she did have a decent HOH and like got screwed by Chelsea recognizing her threat level. But like I don't know, like I'm not saying she's my favorite player ever, but like I
That's
don't
fair.
know. I wish she was still
Yeah,
in the house
I don't
over
know.
some of these people.
That's fair. I suppose I don't even know if I feel that much. Yeah, I don't know. And obviously, Angela is just gonna taint anything that I hold dear. And
You're
Quinn's
gonna
Quinn.
be so bothered when Angela comes to All Stars.
Nah, she said something that made me real mad. I can't even remember what it was, and it might have been fair, but I was like, "You shut up, woman! Like, get
You
out of my
know,
face."
I I don't remember what it was, but I do remember having that feeling where she said it, and I said, "Tony hates
Tony's
this."
gonna
Like
hate that.
I don't remember what it was, but I do recall like mentally tracking that.
It was for sure the same moment. I can't remember what it was, but I was
No,
like, "Oh, buddy."
100% because it was just like it was so just cliche. Whatever it was the thing you've been complaining about. You
It was
know, like
something real negative about Mackenzie. I think it was like a shot at Mackenzie. Is the thing that I was like, "Get out of here."
maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Mackenzie did something. Oh, it was Mackenzie when she was crying. She's like, "Oh, those crocodile tears" when she nominated Leah. I was like, "Shut up! Get out of my
But
face."
she referenced her old thing, the low budget movie acting. That's funny.
Man, that's so funny.
I just
With how much she has cried in the Big Brother house to call
Yeah.
out anybody for crocodile tears.
I think that's
is
the joke though.
insane. No, but it's not a joke. She's just nuts. Probably a lovely woman when you know her. As a TV personality, get out of my face. She's probably lovely though.
I am beyond fascinated by like your love for Big Brother, but your dislike for personalities.
For
like,
Big Brother.
Well, it's like this is what makes the show exciting for me and so many people, and you're just like, no, I want more people like Cam. Give me Cam who just is emotionless.
No, that's not even the case.
Like Angela brings the drama, which
It's
is
fun,
what I
but, like-
want and what you don't want.
No, it's always a love and hate, like, because I love hating those people.
Sure.
Like it genuinely makes me furious, but like that makes it more. Like I can't love everybody, and so having these people that I just despise makes it more entertaining.
So would you want her on an all-star season?
No,
See that? So that's the difference.
but if she was, it would probably make me enjoy the season more because I could just hate her. And the like just joy in my heart when she got evicted again because she stinks would just be great.
All right. Well, we'll never agree at that. That's fine. Just wait till she's in top 3 for America's Favorite House Guest. Okay.
She's gonna be in it.
Calling
but
it. It's
Tucker's
her.
gonna win it.
Yeah, Tucker will win.
Think-
It's Tucker,
I think
Angela,
Tucker's out
and
too
Leah.
early.
To win it?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Did you see they released the percentages for like the last 4 seasons for America's Favorite House Guest?
No. Where did I
They
find
did
this?
that. Yeah.
Well, let's end the episode by talking about this because there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
Percentage. Well, I think in any other season I would say like yes, he was out too early. But I don't know. This one just is like I think kind of like we said, like I think at bare minimum people are neutral towards these house guests. You know, like I don't think Tikor, I don't think Aaliyah, I don't think definitely not Quinn. You know, like I really don't know who else it would be.
Yeah, and that's I kind of said that a while ago where it's like this isn't this isn't the most lovable cast in the world. It just isn't. It's a lot of fun like a lot of pretty entertaining players that have some interesting stuff, but no, it's not like a cast that I fall in love with. Like comparing this to Big Brother 20 is an interesting, I feel like, thing to do because I think as a season they're comparable in like their entertainment value, but I love so many people in Big Brother 20 and I love maybe 2 or 3 people in this season.
Right. No, I do agree with that. I think that's extremely valid. Yeah, that's a fascinating comparison. Yeah.
It's surprising that and maybe it's not surprising that I could like a season this much when that's the case because there's definitely Survivor seasons where I really like the season as a whole, but there's not that many people that I really love on the season. Like, that definitely happens.
I think for me, I think I value the gameplay more than I do the people, because there are, like, I think, I don't know, season 16 is a good example. A lot of people on there that are fun, good, but that season's a bore to watch. You know, it's not like an exciting. That's not what I'd reference of like one of the best seasons. You know, so I do think sometimes it's, whereas like season 17 is probably the opposite. People I don't like on that cast. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any, like, who would my top 3 be? But like the gameplay there is pretty good, and it's an exciting season till the end. So it is interesting how it's a trade-off at times, and I think that's where it's like for you and I, obviously, like Big Brother 20 is one of our favorites because it's a good blend of both. And I think, I don't know, like maybe this season is more interesting, but yeah, the lack of like really exciting players. And again, if Tucker could just stay in it a little bit longer, that'd be a win for sure.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
All right. Anything else on this season?
Are you
week?
finding these percentages at all?
No, I give up. I think you're lying.
I think you're lie, he says. I think you're lie.
I'm giving you 10 more seconds to find it. Otherwise, I'm wrapping this up.
Yeah, go ahead and wrap it up.
Well, tune in next week when Tony has the percentages from the last 4 seasons of America's Favorite Housecast. I refuse to believe anything other than Cam's win last year was a sham. That's insane. How are the casuals that much stronger?
There's just so many more. There's so many.
How? Who? I want to see names. I want
A bunch of old people.
I want ID for every single vote from now on. Okay? Enough of these mail-in ballots. I'm sick of it. All right. For more episodes, visit notgameonpersonal.com. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at NGAPPod. It's at NGAPPod. I'm Nathan. This is Tony, and we'll see you next week.
Shout out all my dogs at the crib.